Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Hey everyone, hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Kevon's Life. I'm Kevon. I told y'all I was bringing more book content, so here we are. I'm delivering. I am bringing y'all my 2023 reading wrapped. This year I had the pleasure of reading 20 books. I met my Goodreads goal. Yay! Shout out to the girls who also met their Goodreads reading goal. Shout out to the girls who did not meet their Goodreads goal. Life be lifing, and it's okay to not hit your goal. I didn't make my goal last year, so it is what it is, right? We're not gonna beat ourselves up about some made up goal. If we read a book, that's an accomplishment, okay? So don't diminish your accomplishments, babe. If you read a book, if you read 100 books, you're killing the game. In today's video, I want to share with you guys a little bit about each of the 20 books that I read this year, give you a summary about what they're all about so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not you may want to check these books out for yourself. Do not worry, there won't be any spoilers in this video. So let's jump right in. My first book actually rolled over into the new year because it is a part of a series. Right now there are 2 books out in the series and there will be more coming. I read the second part to the Legendborn series. This one is called Bloodmarked, and the first one is called Legendborn. So this book is written by Tracy Deonn. This book is a really good fantasy novel that takes you on a ride between like Black history and hoodoo and mythology, specifically King Arthur. If you are a girly who's into science fiction, young adult, a little bit of Black history, definitely some mythology, this is going to be a book that you're really interested in. It moves at a very fast pace. You're gonna really enjoy some of the characters. Some of the other characters you might not like very much, but I think that the second book was just as good as the first book, and I'm really excited to continue reading this series. If you have any ties to North Carolina, this book might be very interesting to you. I really enjoyed it. One thing I will say is that there were a lot of moving pieces, so at times I had to like remember who is who, and I definitely found myself going to look up a little bit more about King Arthur and that story itself, because sometimes I just was like lost in the sauce. If you are into like hoodoo and that side of Black history, I think you're gonna find yourself wanting a little bit more. I don't know much about hoodoo, but I think it's so interesting and I wish I knew more. So that is something that I would like to dig into. But in this story, I felt like it touched on it, but it didn't go deep enough for me. Like I found myself wanting more to that aspect of the story. Absolutely recommend it. You definitely are going to want to start with the first part in the series called Legendborn. Next up, the second book that I read this year is one that I don't have in hand because it is so popular still. The sequel to this book has recently come out, and so all the girls are going crazy for it. So naturally I could not get my hands on it from my local library. I read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, and if you're on Book Talk, you already know about Miss Kennedy Ryan. You may have even read more books by her. Before I Let Go is the only book that I read by her, and it's the second book in the Skyland series, which is called This Could Be Us, and it's focused on one of the characters from Before I Let Go. It digs a little deeper into her life, which I think is very interesting. I picked up this book because it was going crazy on TikTok and all the girls loved it, but I will say that this is not a book that I like really loved. That I'm not in that stage of my life to really enjoy it. This book is a pretty heavy book. It touches on some pretty triggering topics, and so I enjoyed this book. I will say that it just felt like I couldn't relate to much that was happening in the story, so I didn't love it. But I do recommend it if you are all about the hype and have potentially had this book on your radar. I would say definitely give it a read. You won't have any issues getting through the book at all. I just think that after I read it and sat with it a little bit, I just decided that it wasn't a book that was for me. Before I Let Go is a story that touches on friendship and loss. The main character, Yasmin, is working through a divorce or a separation, I can't remember, due to a traumatic life event that has happened within the story. And so throughout this book, we watch her figure out how to live again and find joy again. So she's taking active steps to kind of find her rhythm in life again. And as we read this story, we're kind of just trying to figure out, you know, what's going to happen at the end. How is this all going to come together? So if that is something that you're interested in, be sure to check it out. Like I said, the second book in the Skyland series has just come out. I believe it's just come out. I'm not sure if advanced reader copies are still floating around and that's what I'm seeing, or if it's out for the public, but just know it's coming either way. I don't think I'm gonna be checking out the second part in this series, just because, as I said, I didn't feel like I didn't relate to anything. I'm not in a season of life where I'm married or have friends that are also married and have children. That's not my story right now, so I just couldn't relate. So this will probably be the only book that I read by Kennedy Ryan, but I will say that it was a good book. 3 on the list I do have in person. I picked this up from my local library, but I actually read this whole book on my Kindle or on my iPhone with the Libby app. So this book is called Conjure Women by Afia Adakora, I believe is how you pronounce her name. I gave this book a solid 3 stars. It's a middle of the road book for me. This is a historical fiction book that takes you through the world of enslaved women who practice magic in the Civil War era. There are themes of freedom, survival, and of course like this mythical aspect, because these women practice hoodoo. So this is another story that I wish kind of dug a little bit deeper, the aspect of hoodoo. I don't know if I should be digging into like non-fiction stories to really get the information I'm looking for surrounding the topic of hoodoo, but this just kind of felt like a little bit flat for me. This book takes us through 3 stories, I would say, of women. The first woman is a mother who has since passed on, but kind of left a lot of wisdom with her daughter Rue, and the main character in this story is Rue, who we see go through life trying to understand the actions of her mom while also navigating life as a woman who practices hoodoo. This historical fiction novel follows 3 women's stories. We have the story of Miss Maybelle, who is the matriarch, and then we have her daughter Rue, and we have a white woman. We have a white woman who is the slave master's daughter, Verena. So we learn about each of their stories separately and how they intertwine. I don't have too much to say about this book. I'm just gonna give it like it was an okay read for me. I didn't hate it, but I also did not love it. Now let's get into my favorite. This book is top 2, okay? It might not be number 2. This book is so good. Oh my gosh. I can't say enough about it. Let me just dig in. This story is the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. I actually participated in a 10-day reading challenge. So I tabbed up my book sometime in February and read like 100 pages a day. And I finished this book in 10 days. And y'all see, this is a hefty book. And as my mama pointed out, very small print. This is a thick one, but it is worth the read. This book follows the main character, Ailey Pearl, who is really passionate about history and library sciences, basically. And so that might be a little bit of how the title comes about, because she's really into W.E.B. Du Bois. The book is a book of self-discovery. We follow Ailey Pearl from like her and her adolescence up through adulthood. This book has elements of historical fiction, which I really loved. Me being a member of a Black Greek letter organization, this story touches a little bit on what that looked like, of course in a fictional sense, but still very rooted in history, I personally believe. So I really loved reading about that and what that may have looked like in the 70s and in the 60s, because as I said, this follows Ailey Pearl throughout like a period of 20 years, I believe. I really loved reading parts about that. This is also, like I said, a coming of age novel. This is like a family saga. We follow multiple different family members from Ailey's perspective throughout many years, and that was really fun to read about. Pick it up. It is so good, and buy it. Let me say that. Buy it. This book is absolutely worth the purchase. If I could get everybody to read this book, I would. Like, I need you to read this book now. And so yeah, top two, probably not two, but we're gonna keep going and I'll let you know why. The next story that I read is The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. I had the pleasure of meeting her earlier this year, like in April. She came to Kindred Stories to do an author talk, and that was great. It was so cool to meet her. So I had read one book before this one. I read The Yellow Wife, and then when this one came out, I read this one. Story of Ruby, who's a teenager in Philadelphia who finds herself in a predicament. This story takes us on Ruby's journey, while also taking us on a parallel journey of another character named Eleanor. So this is a story that kind of flips back and forth between Ruby's story and Eleanor's story. This book explores how the choices we make impact generations after us. This book a 4 stars. This book also has some historical context, which I really enjoy. You might be seeing a theme here, but this book also touches on Black Greek letter organizations, specifically on Howard University's campus, which I found so interesting. So I loved reading about that. If you're anything like me, you'll probably enjoy this book also. Next on the list, I do not have the books in person. I don't have the physical copies, unfortunately. I actually read all 3 of these books on my Kindle. I decided to do the Kindle Unlimited subscription to get these books because I just heard such good things about them. So we're gonna change gears a little bit and move into a different genre. The next few books I'm gonna talk about fall under the urban fiction genre. I love me a good hood book, y'all. I love me a good hood book. So the series that I read is called Them Boys from the Bottom by I believe Diamond D. Johnson. And so I had just saw the girls talking about this really good series like in the Facebook groups that I'm in about books. So I was like, I'm in a reading slump, so I decided to take a look at these books, and these are quick reads, y'all, like 200 pages, 250 pages, nothing crazy, but these stories were just like a gritty portrayal of life in Miami. These stories follow like a set of brothers who are each experiencing their own trials and tribulations in life, and we just kind of learn a little bit on how they're navigating the challenges of being in this urban environment like Miami. So if you enjoy books like that, you'll definitely want to take a look at Them Boys from the Bottom. As I said, I read mine on Kindle Unlimited. I believe that's the only place you can get it. So you'll want to do like a subscription. You can definitely get a free trial to start. And I believe it costs like $10 a month after that. You can just pick up any and all books from Kindle. And the good thing about Kindle Unlimited is that you get a lot of stories like Them Boys from the Bottom. You get like true urban fiction. If that's the genre that you like, Kindle Unlimited would be a really good place to pick up books like that. Next book that I read is also a part of a series, and I have the first 4 books, but the 5th one is the one I actually read this year. I don't actually have the physical copy yet just because I haven't bought it yet. I was so excited to read it that I decided to do my free trial on Audible, so I ended up listening to the audio version of this book. I read Butterfly 5, which is a part of the Butterfly series by Ashley Antoinette, and Miss Girl has me in a chokehold. I love this author. Miss Ashley Antoinette can do no wrong in my opinion. If she write it, I'm gonna read it. Butterfly 5 is the 5th part to this series that just continues to follow the main character, Morgan Atkins. So I will say that if you are interested in picking up these books, let me tell you how to start. I want to start with Moth to a Flame. And then after that, you're gonna want to read the Ethics series. And then after that, you're ready for the Butterfly series. Okay, I'm not gonna dig too much into it. If that is something that y'all want me to talk a little bit more about, I can make a separate video, because baby, Miss Ashley Antoinette's catalog of books is long. Like I said, her catalog is very expansive. She also co-writes with her husband, Jaquavis Coleman, and they have a lot of stories together. So there's like a list of all the Ashley and Jaquavis books that you should read, and then there's the list of Ashley Antoinette books, and then there's also the list of Jaquavis Coleman books. So they like write together and they also write separately. I personally read the books that they write together and the books that Ashley Antoinette reads. I have not read any that Jaquavis has written by himself. I watch a movie on Tubi, but anyway, I digress. Yeah, I decided to go backwards and read the Cartel series, and my understanding that the Cartel series is one of the like first books that Ashley and Jaquavis wrote together. So this might have been like the series that really gave them a name in the urban fiction world, because these books are set in like 2005, 2006, 2007, I believe. So I went back. This is the Cartel series is an 8-part series that also leads into another series that I read by Ashley Antoinette. If y'all want me to dive into Ashley Antoinette, that's got to be a whole separate video. The Cartel series, I read all 8 books this summer. I devoured them. I actually had the physical copy of the first 3 books. I bought it to take on vacation in July, but I actually gave it up at a book swap about 2 weeks ago. So just because I didn't have the rest of the books, I didn't feel like I needed to keep the first 3 books. But the series is good. I think it gave me a lot of backstory. I was introduced to some characters that I had been hearing about whenever I like went to go look up stuff, or whenever I saw people talking about Ashley Antoinette, I'd be like, who is that? I don't know that person, because I hadn't read the Cartel series. That was very nice to kind of learn about these names that I had been hearing. Basically kind of like, you know, not put a face to the name, but get some backstory to the name. I'm honestly not going to say too much about the Cartel series because I just love it so much. And I think that if you are a girly who's really into urban fiction, just pick up this series. Pick up anything by Ashley Antoinette, and I think you're going to be happy. So I'm just going to believe that me and you are right here on the same page, and that I don't got to say too much about it. Ashley Antoinette is one of my top authors. She's not going to let me down. So if you like urban fiction, if you like that genre, just go check it out. Cartel series. If you have questions about how you should read the series, let me know. Send me a message and we can talk about it, okay? Okay, y'all, we are wrapping up here. I have about 3 more books to tell y'all about. I said to y'all that the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois was top 2 and probably not 2. Here is the one that is also top 2, and I'm not sure how to place them, or you know, what place they should fall in. This book is called Sugar. It's written by Bernice McFadden. And when I tell y'all, this book, baby, is too good. It starts off with a banger. And when I say starts off with a banger, I mean the first line. I'm not telling y'all no lies. The first line pulls you into this story. When you get to the end of the book, you're reading and you're reading and you're reading because you can't stop reading, and then you have to stop reading because the book is over. And you're like, I don't know when that just happened, but why is the book over? Look over. This book keeps you in it. And look how small it is, y'all. The way this book lives in my mind rent-free. Yeah. This also has a sequel that is on my TBR. The sequel is called This Bitter Earth, and it follows the main character, Sugar. It continues to follow her story. So I'm excited to read that. I just don't think I'm gonna get it finished by the end of 2023. So hopefully I can come back next year and tell y'all a little bit about This Bitter Earth and how I feel about the series altogether. It follows the main character whose name is Sugar, and she is outcasted by this small town, and you will learn why very quickly in this story, but I won't tell you why. And it also follows another character named Pearl, and you will find out how their stories connect once you read it. Now, next, I read 2 books by the same author. The first book I read is called Single Black Female by Tracy Brown. Sadly, she recently passed away earlier this year, but I decided to pick up her books because in her most recent book that came out this year, I believe it's called Hold You Down. So I picked up Single Black Female and decided to read it. And I'll be honest, y'all, sometimes I just be diving into books without really knowing what they're about. I don't know why Single Black Female, I went into it like, oh, this is a thriller, she's gonna be a crazy Black woman. This book is not that, and obviously Tracy Brown's writing is not that. So if you're anything like me, hopefully my little quick summary about this book will be helpful. But this book follows a group of friends, like 4 women, who are all navigating life and what that looks like to be a single Black female. That's what this book is about. I believe Tracy Brown is from New York because both of the stories that I read by her are set in Staten Island. This book was good. It was not great for me. Then the next book that I read by Tracy Brown is called White Lines. This book had been on my radar for, I'd say like at least 2 years, but I could never get my hands on it anywhere. So I finally found an audio book at my local library. I will say that I knew what this story was about. This story, White Lines, is definitely giving like urban fiction, but it was a lot. There were multiple storylines, a lot of drama. Like, there was so much going on in this story, and it's a long story too, so I really am curious to see how thick it is, how thick the physical copy is, because I'm pretty sure the audiobook was like 19 hours long. Long story, and for what reason I'm not 100% sure. I would give White Lines, honestly, I would give White Lines like a 2 stars for me. Do I feel like I want my time back? Just a little. Just a little. I want my time back just a little. Because I was listening to it and I was like, I just felt like I needed to commit to the story for whatever reason. So I did. I committed and I listened to it, and it was just okay. The ending was just okay. The whole story was just okay. It follows the story of a young woman who lives in Staten Island, who has had a tough adolescence and is now grown and navigating what life looks like for her due to the implications of how she grew up. The most recent book that I finished is another one by Ashley Antoinette. When I tell y'all I'm obsessed, I'm not even joking. I love Ashley Antoinette. So this book is actually like a Christmas short story, and it's in the middle between series. And I think I had touched on this in one of my vlogs, but I read Christmas with the Okafors, which is a short story that follows again the characters from the Butterfly series and the Ethics series. So Christmas with the Okafors is kind of like between the two. So you finish up the Ethics series, and then you have Christmas with the Okafors, and then you have the Butterfly series. This was just a fun story that I hadn't read yet. I had been seeing it all over, but I don't believe there are printed copies of Christmas with the Okafors, and so it is an audiobook, and I just never really wanted to pay for the audio, so I didn't. But a few weeks ago, I was just feeling in the Christmas spirit, and I was like, I want to listen to it. So I decided to bite the bullet and pay for the audiobook credit on Audible. So I'm very happy that I did, because as I said, I'm never disappointed in Ashley Antoinette. It was a cute little story. It's like a 6-hour read or a 6-hour listen, and I found myself like, oh my gosh, am I getting close to the end? I'm getting close to the end. And actually, speaking of 6-hour listen, it's a lie, because it ended up being, if it was like a 8-hour listen, it ended up being 6, and 2 hours was a preview of one of the Butterfly stories. And of course, I had already read the Butterfly story, so I didn't need to listen to that because I own the Butterfly books. So I was very sad when I got to the end. I was like, what is this? This is the end of the story? And it was. So that was a little sad for me. I haven't read the Butterfly series. That would be a really nice introduction, because it reads quite a bit in the Christmas with the Okafors audiobook. that is all I have to say about Christmas with the Okafors, because again, it's Ashley Antoinette. I love those stories. Oh, I also wanted to show y'all, I got my first Christmas gift yesterday, and it is all the books that I read in 2023. So it's got all the Cartel series books, Before I Let Go, there's Sugar, let's see, the Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois down there, the Them Boys from the Bottom series, the Blood Marked book. Ugh, it's so cool. Single Black Females in there. Every book that I read is in this ornament. So this is a really awesome keepsake that I get to have that documents what I read for the year. So I love this, and I put it on my Christmas tree. I put it on my Christmas tree last night, and I'm just so excited about it. So thank you to my mom. There you have it, y'all. That is my 2023 reading wrapped. Your girl read 20 books. I hope you enjoyed this summary. I hope you leave this video with some new books to add to your own TBR list. Let me know what's on your TBR. If we read any of the same books, let me know down below. Of course, I want to hear your thoughts. What'd you like? What'd you love? Do we agree on anything? Do we disagree on anything? I want to know. Please don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Like I said, I want to talk to y'all down in the comments, so leave me love down in the comments. Keep me encouraged. Share this video if you found it helpful. If you know a girl who likes to read, send this video to her so that maybe she can put some new books on her TBR list. Maybe she's read some of these books already. So maybe she wants to subscribe to my channel because I'm bringing the good content that she likes to hear about. You know, send it to your people. I'm going to keep on bringing book content, so be on the lookout for my 2024 TBR video. It's going to be coming out soon. We're deep into Vlogmas at this point. I'm really excited to be doing Vlogmas, so be on the lookout for more content every single day. Next time, I wish you guys a very happy reading experience, a cozy reading experience. I wish you guys happy holidays. I hope that you and your family are well, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!